This is Bart Pastorino from TSAA-SF. We're getting started with this webinar with Brett Villaume regarding FI 352, Technical Analysis of Securities that Brett is teaching with Martin Pring. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brett. Thank you.
Thanks, Bart. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. Welcome everyone to the webinar today, and thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased that you're participating in this free webinar, in this sort of information session about the class. I'm extremely excited to be a part of this class, and I'm also extremely excited to promote Golden Gate University's Technical Analysis program. This sort of gives me the opportunity to do both. Before I get started, I definitely wanted to say thank you to Bart Pastorino, the current president of the TSAA. He has done a lot of work to put this webcast together, so thanks to Bart. And I also wanted to say thank you especially to Hank Pruden and also Bruce Frazier and Roman Bogomazov at Golden Gate University, sort of my mentors in the technical analysis program there, and sort of the creators of the curriculum. And I wanted to tip my hat to those guys too for all of their help in getting this going. Okay, so to begin, you know, as Bart mentioned, this is a review of the FI 352 Technical Analysis of Securities class, which is going to be taught by Martin Pring. I am essentially an adjunct professor who is serving the purpose of teacher's assistant, if you will, in this class, in that there's going to be, the entire content of the class is provided by Martin with some supplementary information provided by some guest lecturers in other topics, which is a benefit of the class. And then I'm going to be the one who administers the class, in that I am going to be able to review some subjects that you might want review, might want to go into more detail about, and then also administering the quizzes and the tests, and then providing you with any other kind of supplementary information. That's my role in this. And at the same time, I think that when it comes to being a teacher's assistant, you're getting the benefit of my career experience as well. I'm just to let you know who I am. I am a chartered market technician. That's the designation offered by the Market Technicians Association. There I've got on the screen, you can see that my name is pronounced Villaume, in case you were wondering. And I'm also a research analyst at FIG Partners, which is a boutique brokerage based in Atlanta, Georgia. I write sell-side research for FIG Partners in the bank sector. We call ourselves a boutique broker-dealer in that we are very small. We have a very specific clientele of institutional clients that focus on the bank sector, and typically these are hedge funds and pension funds who have portfolio managers that need information about bank stock investments. So I write fundamental research reports on a daily basis, and that's how I get paid. I also write daily technical analysis commentary for institutional buy-side clients. So the technical analysis that I provide to clients is typically intended to help them in making decisions based on their fundamental research. So I'm a very big advocate of what they call fusion analysis in technical analysis terms these days. The combined use of fundamental and technical analysis to make better investment decisions. So that's sort of my career path. I'm also an adjunct professor at Golden Gate University in San Francisco, as you know. I was originally got involved with Golden Gate about a year ago, but was recently asked, when this opportunity to teach with Martin Pring came up, if I would like to assist, and I leapt at the chance. I'm very happy to be now an adjunct professor at Golden Gate. So let me see if I can advance my slide here. The details of class are shown for you here on this slide. The Technical Analysis of Securities class is a 16-week class that's taught entirely online. It's also taught in a classroom setting as well, but this class is going to be online, which gives it certain benefits. The fall semester begins on August 25th and goes through December 7th. As I said, it's taught on the GGU Cyber Campus, which I'll explain in a little bit more detail later about how that functions, but essentially it's all done online through a website. And as I mentioned, Martin Pring and I are the instructors, with Martin providing the content as well as doing some guest lecturing during the semester, and then also being administered by me. The academic level is graduate, and obviously there's no meeting room, but there is a dedicated website for the class that you log into. Now, it says on here that units, under the units section is, let's see right here, it has the 3 written, and that's if you take the course for credit towards a certificate, or if you're currently taking a graduate level, earning a graduate level degree from GGU, that's the amount of credits you get for the class. So that's that. The let's see, well, I think nope, that's the right side. That's sort of the basic description of the class. I'll get into more detail about some of those items later, but let's cover first who Martin Pring is. I think that the reason you're on this webcast or this webinar is because you know who Martin Pring is, or at least you've gone and looked up who he was and was impressed enough that you wanted to hear more. I guess best way to describe Martin is that he is a preeminent technical analyst and in the world today, arguably one of the most successful, in that he's authored over a dozen books, including, most importantly, his book called Technical Analysis Explained, which is now in its 4th edition, soon to be 5th edition, and is also a level 1 required text for the Chartered Market Technician exam, level 1. So this is the book that one of the first books I purchased in technical analysis about 13 years ago when I was taking CMT level 1. And at the time, I personally found it to be the best text, I thought, out of the required reading textbooks, in that it appeared to be the most well laid out. The explanation, the graphical explanations or examples were the easiest to read and did the best job of presenting exactly what Martin was describing in his paragraphs. And the length of the book wasn't such that it was grinding to get through. It was actually enjoyable to read from front to back. And that is not necessarily the way that it was intended to be read, but it does logically progress through the different chapters as Martin explains what technical analysis is, and obviously by the title, and then what all the sort of introductory concepts are within technical analysis, and some of the more advanced concepts that he gets into later on in the book. The class, as I said, is intended to present all of the information that Martin has in his book, but most importantly, I think, and if I haven't mentioned this yet, the course is designed to try to prepare you to pass the Chartered Market Technician Level 1 test. Currently, that's scheduled for October at the next sitting, and then again in May. And there is information about that at the Market Technician Association website, www.mta.org. If you haven't looked at that, go ahead and look under the Chartered Market Technician section of that website, and you'll see the required reading list in a PDF format, as well as other information about the cost and when you can take the test. And what this is, you're showing here on the screen, is the chapters that are required reading out of the Technical Analysis Explained textbook by Martin. And all of these chapters are what you are required to know for the CMT. Now, there are other texts and other chapters that you would have to know besides just these, but what I think is unique to Martin's book and its use here is that pretty much all of the information that you see in front of you now, if studied alone without other supplementary text, will get you through the exam. And you'll pass with flying colors if you master all of these concepts. There are some other concepts you may want to explore more in depth. For instance, there is a textbook that's required on point and figure analysis only. And that's definitely covered by Martin during this class. But in the more in-depth version is part of the curriculum for the CMT. And I think that while that's good, this definitely qualifies. The amount of information learned about point and figure during this class is enough to pass the class, or pass the test, excuse me. So just to run through some of these briefly, I want to just sort of point out what, let me change this to just an arrow if I can. Well, actually, I think I'll just skip out of that and go back to my pointer, whatever that is. Bear with me one moment, please. Okay. The beginning part is essentially, the beginning part of this is essentially the introduction, and it covers financial markets and the business cycle, which I'm going to explain a little bit more in depth in a minute. The financial markets and business cycle is really, at the beginning of this, is really there because it is the conclusion of Martin's explanation of all the individual things that you use technical analysis to eventually decipher, which is deciphering the trend of the business cycle ultimately is your goal in technical analysis in order to exploit some of the sector rotation that takes place over in a repeating pattern. Included in that is Dow theory, and also in deciphering intermediate term trends. The three of these sections alone take up quite a bit of space at the beginning of the book because they're so crucial, and Martin does a very good job of explaining these in sort of creating the foundation that you really need in order to dive into all of the other things that I like to refer to as squiggly lines, technical indicators that are sort of part of the big meat of the CMT Level 1 exam. But the point here is that you get a very thorough foundation from Martin in these three sections. So then after that, you move on to this middle part, which takes up the majority, really, of his book, Technical Analysis Explained, and it's going to take up a lot of the class. I would say probably half of the class is going to be in these trend determining techniques, which include things like, as you can imagine, price patterns. Now, if you're completely ignorant about technical analysis at this point, I'm not going to go into an explanation here, but I would like to say that, you know, price patterns are usually regarded as sort of the primary tool of technicians, as recognizing patterns in prices and then using rules about what those patterns typically do or typically work out to make investment decisions. So all of the price patterns that are well known amongst technicians are covered here, as well as smaller price patterns, even 1 and 2 bar price patterns, so very short-term patterns, trend lines and moving averages to decipher trend, and then also what the strength of the trend is by gauging momentum, and then also different indicators that you could use to gauge momentum and what implications those have for the trend, as well as candlestick charts, which is a very popular way of charting daily and intraday data, and you can, and Martin will go through all of the individual patterns that are important in candlestick analysis. There's also different other techniques for determining trend, and then finally the concept of relative strength in gauging the relative performance of a stock or a sector versus a benchmark or the broad market. Those are sort of, like I said, the meat of the course. And then finally, towards the end, which is going to take up a pretty big chunk of the curriculum, is these other sort of market structure and market behavior type of concepts in technical analysis. The book goes through some of the major market averages and explains to you what things like the Dow Jones and the S&P are, and then also what some of the technical analysis methods of evaluating those are. But more importantly, I think, are some of these other very important and typically regarded as essential parts of technical analysis, the basis of technical analysis, don't have anything to do with necessarily just recognizing price patterns. For instance, volume analysis. And volume, and then also as a corollary, the market breadth and what those things are. Also, sentiment indicators are a big part of technical analysis, for instance, the put-to-call ratio, that don't necessarily have anything to do with what are going on with stock prices. They're nonetheless tools that technicians use often that try to achieve the same goal of deciphering the market's direction as evaluating a trend. And then also some intermarket analysis, like why interest rates affect stocks. Intermarket analysis is generally the term used to describe how different sectors of the economy interrelate with each other, and how you can use technical analysis to figure out what one market might be doing based on the performance of another market. Finally, in the course, in the book and in the CMT, there's a description of automated trading systems, which is the application of technical analysis tools in an automated fashion done by computer models, or at the very least set up with trading rules that are then executed according to what happens in the market. And then finally also there's the sort of the technical analysis of both global stock markets and individual stocks in the book to show you examples of using all of these different things together. Okay, so that's sort of the technical analysis explained, required reading for the CMT. In this class, here is the course outline. The course is separated into weekly sessions. Each week, the sort of topic du jour is going to be broken down into different methods of providing you with the data. So the information. The first method is going to be a lecture from Martin. So the lecture is going to be a pre-recorded video that you can view at your leisure, which is going to be a big benefit to anyone taking this exam or taking this course in a different time zone, or even in a different part of the world. You don't have to wake up in the middle of the night in order to participate in this class. That weekly video lecture will be anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour long, and then there's going to be other supplementary data, including discussion groups and also not necessarily homework assignments, but more like thought lessons and trading examples that you're going to go through the website to sort of I don't know, leverage the information that you had just learned in the video. That is the way each one of these is going to go down each week. So for instance, each week, starting in session 1, you'll have the introduction, and we're going to talk about things like the discounting mechanism of markets, and also how you plot charts in general using a Cartesian coordinate system of an X and Y axis, and how that is supposed to represent what's going on in the market. Then we're also going to discuss what is a trend. Why do we automatically assume that stocks move in trends, and do they? And how is that? What implications does that have for deciphering prices in the future? So, you know, once we describe all that, then the course during the week, we're going to go through some of the, as I said, thought lessons and sort of homework, if you will, and then move on to the second session after 1 week expires. So if you're participating in the online class, you're going to be basically taking down each one of these sections 1 week at a time. And as you can see, there's 16 weeks, but towards the end of the class, in session 14 and 15, there's actually 2 weeks, one of which is taken up by reviewing for the final exam or reviewing all of the content over the course. And then the final exam week is going to be, again, mostly review, but also taking the exam and scheduling and taking your exam. Okay, so as you can see, you know, there's a lot of information here. The basic building blocks, along with, which starts in session 2, along with price patterns and candlesticks, momentum, all the way down through session number 7, is really the large part of deciphering trends section that I mentioned earlier on the slide before. That's really the meat and potatoes of the course, is these first 7 sections, where you go through the majority of price patterns and candlesticks and momentum. After that, you move on to that second section, which is looking at basically market behavior and market structure. So cycle theory, volume, sentiment, relative strength, and then also some things having to do with the history of technical analysis and also portfolio management. Those come after you lay the foundation of all the tools of technical analysis. Okay, and you know, I think that this is laid out essentially pretty logically as it was in the textbook, in that you start from a basic introduction of what technical analysis is, and then you move into more in-depth studies in technical analysis because you have to sort of form a basis for that. Okay. Now, as I said, the big advantage of this being online, and it is entirely online, is that it's done through a secure website for course content. So, you know, the access to this course is going to be proprietary and unique. You're getting access to information that nobody else has. It is, you know, basically it's the same information or the same topic material that's in the textbooks, but whatever is presented for you in this class is presented for just you. It is video-based instruction, so as I said, you know, the lectures, even the live webcasts that are going to take place several times throughout the semester with Martin are going to be recorded. So you can go back at any time over the course, all the way through the 16 weeks, and go back and review any of these videos and watch them again. As I said, there are going to be live webcast lectures that are recorded. Some of them are going to have Martin, so we're also going to have some presentations from other industry experts. We're planning on having experts from both Elliott Wave International in Gainesville, Georgia, and also an expert from Dorsey Wright Associates, which is arguably one of the leading expert firms in point and figure analysis in the world. So those will be very exciting to have guest lectures on both those subjects sometime during the course, and we may have another guest lecture as well, a third one at some point if we can squeeze them in. As I said, you can review the information at any time. I already mentioned that we have guest lectures from other industry experts, and then you get the advantage of having personal instruction from me. I'm local. I live in San Francisco and work in downtown. I'm very close to the Golden Gate University, but I'm very easily accessible and approachable online or by phone or email. So if you ever have questions about what Martin's talking about, you can easily get the information from me. And then finally, as I said, it's CMT Level 1 preparation. The important part, I think, and uniqueness of this class versus just taking the CMT Level 1, buying books and studying for it yourself, and something that you get out of having Martin be the guest lecturer here and providing the content, is that the basics of technical analysis that he describes are essentially leading up to or developing his case for business cycle analysis and the sector rotation process. And that's really what Martin is most famous for. In fact, his firm, Turner, which is located in Walnut Creek, California, just outside of the Bay Area here, well, in the Bay Area, but just outside of San Francisco, is one of the leading experts in business cycle analysis, and has actually founded and has launched an ETF that attempts to make money off of figuring out changes in the business cycle and then readjusting the portfolio based on that. That's unique in technical analysis in that there are only a handful of people who successfully do this on Wall Street in a technical analysis manner and do so in a very logical and thought out process that's very well accepted. Martin's is arguably one of the best, if not the best, in my opinion at least, in business cycle analysis. So that's what you get. And what business cycle analysis is basically summed up by this chart. And this is a chart that Martin will go over during the class. There's 6 stages of this business cycle at different points in which the decision to buy or sell different asset classes, such as bonds, stocks, or commodities, can be made. And this cycle repeats. So you develop your skills in technical analysis with the eventual goal of being able to leverage this, the knowledge of this cycle, and figure out when things are changing in your favor and what sector you want to be in. So That's the class. There is a little bit more to discuss in a minute, but I wanted to take time now to quickly tell you a little bit more of the advantage of taking this class, and that is that it is part of the Golden Gate University Certificate in Technical Market Analysis. Yours truly is actually currently in the process of trying to get this certificate in technical market analysis. The reason is because I have a CMT. The CMT is good in that it teaches you certain things, basics of technical analysis, the body of knowledge that's the Market Technicians Association deems to be, the official body of knowledge for technical analysis. But the certificate program, if the CMT teaches you technicals, the certificate program makes you unique among technicians. There are advantages to taking the certificate program that I'll get into in a second that you don't get anywhere else. On top of that, it is an accredited graduate certificate program. This is accredited in that the university is an accredited university and the certificate program is offered by them. So not only do you get the degree, but it's also an accredited university. You can take this for college courses or for college credits. The FI 352 is the beginning course of the required courses to get the certificate program. As I said, it's unique among TA designations, and here's why. You really get what Hank Pruden has referred to as the West Coast technical analysis method, which is understanding the Wyckoff method. Now, Wyckoff is a unique technical analysis methodology for deciphering trend and identifying spots of accumulation and distribution in stocks. And it is not necessarily, as with everything in technical analysis, the be-all, end-all of technical indicators. You don't, you don't necessarily only have to be a Wyckoфfian, but it's definitely highly regarded as a technical analysis system, one that is extremely well thought out, extremely well studied by many academics over the years. And I think at Golden Gate University, you get access to the best of those. So that's the big benefit of taking technical market analysis certificate program. Plus, included in the curriculum, not only the Wyckoff West Coast technical analysis method, if you will, but also trading system development, strategy, and implementation is taught. Behavioral finance is a part of it as well, and also trading psychology, understanding how you trade and some of the pitfalls and benefits to understanding your own psychology and in how you behave whenever you click the buy button instead of just deciphering whether or not the technicals line up. So here is the required courses for this graduate certificate. As you can see, there's 15 units, a la 5 classes that you need to take in order to achieve it, one of which is sort of an elective, including behavioral finance and then building efficient trading systems. The Technical Analysis of Securities class, this one, is the first class and is the required course to get going. The cost, the tuition, is $2,610 per 3-credit class. That's to take the class for credit. You can also audit the class for about 2/3 the expense there. And to audit the class means you get all the benefits of the class as if you were just a regular full tuition paying student, but you don't get college credits for it. And you won't at the end of taking all of these classes receive a certificate. If you only have an interest in taking one class, this 352 class, and you don't intend to pursue other classes, you may want to consider the audit option in that you'll get the full benefit and be able to easily pass CMT level 1 and save $1. Okay. So does that seem like a very expensive price to you? $2,600 approximately over the course of 13 weekly sessions, which is really the length of time it's going to take to go through all the curriculum. That doesn't include the week of review and then the exam week, which is weeks 14 and 15. The 13 weekly sessions runs approximately $200 per session or per week, right? Does that seem expensive? Well, you know, if you consider the fact that this thing lasts as long as it does, that each session is going to essentially last for a week worth of instruction that you can go back and review, or you can ask me questions, or you can practice things, listen to Martin's lectures. The cost does not seem all that outlandish. In fact, I went and did some research and found some examples where $200 a person is either the norm, or sorry, per session is either the norm or is a cheap value. Here's FXCM's daily FX boot camp that they're going to put on at a seminar they're throwing in November. And as you can see, they're bringing out the big guns of their analysts for this workshop, and it lasts from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., 4 hours, one day, November 2nd, and you pay $200 for that. And essentially, as you can see here, it runs through some of the donkey and trading channel strategies and then dividend strategy rules, and that's about it. Instead, you may cover 10 times that amount in one weekly session with Martin Pring. There's the price. Here's another example. This guy, Dr. Elder, it charges $140 per webinar. And then here's a really glaring example. This one is from Joe Ross. I found this Joe Ross's website where he offers whole trading seminars for $2,500. Now, his seminars may last for a couple of days, but in comparison, for about the same cost, you get 13 weeks. So if you break it down by the amount of content that you get by signing up for this class, it's really a great deal compared to all kinds of education programs out there on the web. I think it makes a lot of sense that you would want to sign up for this. Okay. Now, here's some basics of the class just to run through again. It starts August 25th, which is coming up in a couple weeks, and lasts until December 6th. The content's presented in weekly increments. There is also midterm and final exams. The amount of the passive, well, essentially the class is pass or fail, but you do have to present a minimum understanding of what's going on in the class by passing these midterm and final exams. Most important is that weekly participation is absolutely required. By that, you have to show evidence that you've logged onto the website and done some work. GGU is very adept at administering these online courses, but they've figured out that the best way to gauge people's comprehension is whether or not they actually participated. So looking at logs of your participation in discussion groups, homework assignments, quizzes, and then just simply logging in to view the information is tabulated and then becomes part of whether or not you pass or not. As I said, there are some projects and thought experiments and quizzes that are part of each weekly class. And here's the breakdown of essentially how your grade is going to be processed. Mostly it's the exam and quizzes, questions and knowledge retention about whether or not you get what the subject material is going on. And then also class participation and whether or not you participate in the discussion groups. The required textbooks for the class are, of course, Martin Pring's Technical Analysis Explained. You can also buy the other required texts for CMT Level 1. Here's the first one, Technical Analysis Explained. Technical Analysis, the Complete Resource for Financial Market Technicians, which is a relatively new book compared to Martin's book, and is written by these two very well-known technicians. I own the book, and I believe that it is a great introductory textbook to technical analysis along with Martin's. And if I had to pick one or the other, I would be challenged to decide which one is best. I think maybe they both do a good job of covering all the essentials, but in my opinion, I think maybe Martin's is a little bit more enjoyable to read. Finally, also Edwards and McGee, the Bible of Technical Analysis of Stock Trends. It's been around for decades, and this one's the least fun to read. It's a great book to own, though, because this was basically the first time people put down, other than Charles Dow, ideas about technical analysis. And this is one that if you plan on being a market technician for the rest of your life, you definitely need to put this one in your library. And you may want to acquire this too if you're going to go for CMT Level 1. It's a required text. And then what is not required, but I highly recommend, is Hank Prudden's book, The 3 Skills of Top Trading, which is a great read. It's a relatively small book. You don't need to spend weeks getting through it. It's fun to read as well, and has some very unique and important information in there. So if you plan on going for the charter or the certificate in technical market analysis, I suggest you go ahead and buy this book. It'll be required later on. So that's really it for the information session on FI 352. Before we go, I have to give a plug for the IFTA conference, which is the International Federation of Technical Analysts conference that's taking place in San Francisco, October 9th through 11th, so only 2 months away. And you can register for this online at www.ifta.org. And if you want to find out more about who's going to be speaking there, all the agenda and sponsor or speakers list is posted on this website as well. And in my opinion, I think that this is going to be one of the best technical analysis conferences I've ever been to in my career. Granted, the MTA does a fabulous job of putting on a conference in New York every year with great guest speakers. This one has the advantage of drawing in international participants, not only delegates but also lecturers that you may not see very often, and equally of high caliber technical analysts as at the MTA's annual meeting. So check that out. And with that, that's really the end of my presentation. So I'll just like to hand it back over to Bart to see if there's any Q&A for us.
Thanks, Brett. It was a great presentation. In terms of questions that came in during the webinars, 2 questions is, what's the cost of the textbooks? And the second question is, could you discuss some of the speakers that you'll have during the course of your class?
Sure. The cost of the textbooks, let me see if I can't scroll back real quick to see where the textbooks are. Here they are. Oh, they're not that far back. Okay. The Martin Pring book, which is obviously required for the class, is only about $35 on Amazon. So it's a relatively inexpensive textbook compared to a lot of college course textbooks that cost $80 to $100. That's the good news. The other, and then they sort of go up from there. I think the Kirkpatrick and Dahlquist book, which is the second one here listed, is about $45, and then the Edwards and McGee book is a little bit more than that. I think it's like $50. So, relatively inexpensive costs involved in getting the required text for this. And then the other question, Bart, I believe, was about whether or not there's another level.
The question that came in during the course of it was about the speakers, the guest speakers that you're going to have. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? And specifically,
Sure.
The question was, if somebody's on vacation, will that content be able to be accessed asynchronously? So will that either be recorded or available as an overview in some capacity in the portal for the course?
Sure. The exact names of the guest lecturers has not yet been determined. We have been in contact with, we know for sure that we've had reassurances we're going to have somebody from both Elliott Wave and Dorsey Wright, and we've been told that they're going to be some of their higher level lecturers from both of those organizations. So you're going to, essentially, you're going to get the lead analyst from Elliott Wave that works directly with Bob Prechter is going to be lecturing, as well as the right-hand man or woman from Dorsey Wright. So those are the 2. We're also entertaining having Julie Dahlquist, who is the co-author of Technical Analysis, the Complete Resource for Financial Market Technicians, as a lecturer as well. And maybe somebody else as well. And then I think, I'm sorry, Bart, what was the other question was about, going on vacation. Yeah, so no, the course is going to be available. You don't have to participate every single week. You can skip a week go back and review it, as long as you show evidence that you did take time to go through that material. The weekly sessions don't close once the time frame is passed, which is the good news. It makes it even easier to take this course.
A couple more questions coming in. What's the deadline to sign up for the course, and could you discuss a little bit about the difficulty of the exams, given that it's a graduate level course?
Sure. The good news is you don't have to sign up before the class begins. You can. I think the deadline is 2 weeks after the course begins before you need to actually pay. You do need to register, but you don't have to actually contribute the money until about 2 weeks afterwards. That gives you plenty of time to make up your mind. You Bart, cue me the other question again. I'm sorry, man.
Sure. It was regarding the exams, so it's a graduate level course. So, what can you discuss a little bit about the difficulty level of those exams?
Sure. Yeah. The exam, or the course in general, is going to be taught at, I guess, for lack of a better term, at a higher level. The graduate, we expect to have some graduate students from GGU, obviously, but also outside non-student participants. So that may or may not know anything about technical analysis. I'm going to make the assumption that people have some basic understanding of financial markets, in that we're not going to describe what a stock is. So to that degree, it's a little bit more advanced. Whether or not the tests are grueling and involve a lot of calculations, I can say safely that they aren't, but I am going to require that you understand some of the basic calculations for individual technical indicators. Yes, there will be math on some of the tests, but nothing all that difficult, nor anything that you're going to require using a calculator for. So I think that does a good job of explaining how difficult it is.
Okay, another question was regarding, you had referred to textbooks and requirements for CMT level 1. Could you elaborate a little bit on if someone were to go the next step in the GGU certificate for technical market analysis? Is there a course, or is there course material covered in other courses that would prepare someone for that level as well?
We are hopefully going to introduce a level 2 technical analysis program at Golden Gate soon. That idea is in the works as we speak. So if you enjoy what you do during this sort of level 1, if you will, introduction class, you can look forward to getting more of the same, except even more in depth, with the intention being of taking CMT level 2 and adequately preparing for that. And as I said, it's in the planning phase at this point, and at some point soon, hopefully, there will be a level 2. If you're already at the level 2 stage, I would like to suggest that the Certificate in Technical Market Analysis program in general is sort of a level 2 type of analysis of technical analysis, in that using Wyckoff incorporates a lot of the more advanced concepts in technical analysis, or the stuff that you may study during your CMT level 2 exams. For instance, concepts in relative strength, and then also more advanced concepts in point and figure charting. Those things are both entailed and are covered in depth in the Wyckoff 1 and 2 classes, and then also subjects having to do with some of the other classes taught as part of the certificate program are definitely topics in level 2. So just because the level 2 class doesn't exist yet doesn't mean you can't sign up for the certificate program and sort of get exposure to that. The only other thing I would suggest is that in level 2, I believe some of the textbooks that you are required are the same textbooks that you're using on level 1. So if you want to get an education in CMT level 2, having already passed level 1, this class may be appropriate as well, in that we're going to go in depth into these things and maybe give you a better background, better prep for CMT level 2 as well.
And the final question that came in, this is from one of the participants. Can I get Martin's autograph?
Yeah. Yeah, you can, but what you're going to need to do is, because it's an online course, that's a good question. Because it's a good online course, you have to actually show up and sign up for the IFTA conference, because he will be a guest lecturer at the IFTA conference in October. I suppose you could mail a book to him and tell him you're a student and he'll sign it and send it back. But you can meet him in person and hear him lecture on one of the 3 days of the conference if you want to. You can bring your textbook along and get him to sign it.
Great. Brett, could you sum it up in 30 seconds as far as what you get from your course for the folks that we have on the webinar?
Yes, definitely. What you get is you get probably one of the premier introduction educations that has ever been available in technical analysis. You get it from one of the preeminent technical analyst experts in the world. You get it in a format that's easy to do, whether if you're a career professional and you're working, or if you live in a remote location, or if you live in the Bay Area and it's just too difficult to commute into GGU. This gives you the advantage of being entirely online and allows you to be able to take it in a much more easier format. I think that the cost of approximately $2,600 is fairly reasonable considering the amount of content that you're going to get out of the course for arguably 13 solid weeks of instruction. Comes down to about $200 a week, which when it comes to college level courses is dirt cheap. And then finally, I think the advantage is that you get an introduction into the certificate program in technical market analysis, which is arguably one of the best accredited, or the best accredited technical analysis programs in the country. So I hope that was a pretty good presentation for everyone. I wanted to say again, thanks for participating, and please feel free to reach out to me about any questions you may have. I don't believe, well, yeah, at the very end I've got my contact information here. You can feel free to call me anytime or send me an email if you're interested in this program, or if you're interested in joining TSAA, the host of this call. I can help you to guide you into, or even give you more information about doing that. So thanks,
you, Brett. I sure appreciate your time on this webinar today. Looks like a great course. For those of you on the webinar, you've received the link to go to the page to get more information to register for this course. And for more information about TSAA-SF, go to TSAA-SF.org. This concludes our webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it.